Hello? Dong, 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 dong. Right, guys. Let's get comfortable. Hi, Dave. Right. Okay, so I'm going to do a live Facebook status because every time I do a written one, it kind of seems to get taken out of context and misconstrued. And it's 2018, so you know what? I thought I'd have a little bit of fun. I like the idea of this video vlogging thingy, and I'm really passionate about just positivity and adding value to other people's lives in any way at all. Because before I felt like I was just taking and being selfish. So you know what? I thought I'd change my ways and add some value, right? So I'm thought I'd make this video because I've got a friend called Joe Hinchliffe, and he's written two books, and he's a really interesting guy, really good conversationalist, and I don't want to put him on spot too much because I think it's the first time he's ever done anything like this. But I met Joe when I was prospecting him for my marketing business, and he didn't get started up with me, but that's all right because what happened is we became friends, and he's definitely added a lot of value to my life since I've known him in the last 2 years. He's written 2 books, and he's got a great Instagram page. He's always sharing his stories. He's really humble. He's really vulnerable. You know, he tells you what mistakes he's made and everything. But I'm going to add him into the video, and I'm going to ask him some questions so he can share what he knows about his experiences and his stuff. Hi, Harry Wilkinson. I can see you. So just let me see if I can add him in. Right, okay, I'm going to add Joe in and hope we've got some value for you guys. So I'm just going to add in. Technology's catching up. Hi, Joe. You okay? Can you hear me?
All right, Matt, how you doing? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm good. So this is, I suppose, right, this is my version of me trying to be a minor celebrity and do a little bit of a question and answer thing with you, because you are like one of the most positive people that I follow on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and we've become friends since I tried prospecting you through my marketing business a couple of years ago. So do you want to just introduce yourself to everyone, and then we'll have a little chat?
Yeah, I'd love to introduce myself. You did an amazing introduction. I don't think I've ever had an introduction like it. Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, so I suppose an entrepreneur. Wrote a few books, talking about personal development. I'm into personal development. I like talking about it because I learn as much as everybody else. So I appreciate not whatever I say is, you might not take something from everything I say, but you might pick up a nugget, and every time I hear it, it goes in a bit more. But yeah, an entrepreneur. I've got my own business. Looking at starting another business, I've always got them ideas on the go. That's it, really. I think entrepreneur is the best thing I can say.
Perfect. Perfect. Now, I'm going to ask you some questions. We've got about 12 people watching this, and last time I did a video, about 3,000 people ended up seeing the last one. So everyone who's watching now, hope you're well. Marcus, Adam, Raiden, I can see you there. I'm going to ask you 3 questions, right? Now, here's the thing. This just shows how much of an amateur and unprofessional I am. I've got them written down, but they're in my phone. The questions I'm going to ask you. So I'm going to just quickly check to see. All right, I remember the first one. So while you're answering that, you can answer, and I'll see if I can go into my phone without cancelling this video off. Right? I'm not. Can we do that? Do you know if I come out of this Will that cancel the video?
I think it may cancel it.
All right, I think I'll be able to remember
you
them.
did...
I'll use my imagination. I'll be able to do it. Right.
Cool.
So, question
No
I
worries.
want to ask you, number one, is what would Joe Hinchliffe from now tell the Joe Hinchliffe from the year 2000?
Year 2000. Wow.
Before everyone
2000.
got completely addicted to social media, Facebook wasn't around, credit crunch, all that stuff.
Yeah. 2000. So 2000, I'm in primary school. I would say forget school. It's a lot of rubbish. Don't listen to it. It's teaching you how to get a job. Job's not going to be for you. I would say learn, and not learn school, but learn how the world works. Learn how to learn is key, because they don't teach that in school. And I would say learn how to learn.
Do you think that everybody learns differently?
I do think people learn differently. I think I like reading. That's a good one for me. I like reading, and I like to read, and I like to, if it goes in after a few days, so I read about it, and then I hear it from somewhere, and then I'll tell someone, I might tell you, and it goes in a bit more, and I do a video about it, and it goes a bit more. So repetition, as Jim Rohn says, repetition is the mother of skill. So repeat for learning.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd also tell myself, let's see, just fail. Get used to failing. And
perfect.
I think when I was younger, I was hung up on, it's got to be done right. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be done right. It's got to be done perfect. You can't make any mistakes, but the success and the learning is in the mistakes. And don't be worried about what people are going to say when you fail. Don't be worried about how you're going to feel about failure. Because quite ironically, I feel I bounce back from failure quite easy. It's just one of those things. But I also fear it. I fear that I'm going to fail. But when I do fail, it's not a big deal, which is pretty yeah. Silly, really.
Definitely. Yeah,
pretty
definitely.
Silly how that works.
Yeah, definitely. Fail forwards.
But that's definitely what I'd say to myself.
Good.
Those three.
Good. The other one, the question I wanted to ask you, if there was a billboard, a giant billboard that everyone in the world could see, what would you have written on it?
I'd put probably my favourite quote on, which is, do what you can with what you have where you stand. And I like that quote because I'm an overthinker, so I think about things a lot. And I tend to get hung up in the details and, things that could go wrong, why it's not going to work, why it could work, how we could make it work. But like for this call, for instance, we could have got hung up in, well, I'm not the greatest speaker, and we could have got hung up in, well, we don't have the greatest microphone, and I'm sat in my van, so the backdrop's not great. There's so many reasons that we could have not done this, but in the end, we just did what we could with what we had, if that makes sense. And
yeah,
that's the quote I would have up, because not everyone has, most people don't have a lot of resources to hand, but you've just got to make a start. You'll get better, and you'll improve. It'll get better.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Cheers, mate. I sent you a text before when we were organising, saying what kind of maybe an example of a question I might ask. I don't know if you still got it.
Yeah.
Did you write it down? What were do you remember if there were another question? Because I remember I sent you one, and was that the one?
Yeah. So questions. I'm just trying to think now. You had some brilliant questions as well. I can't off the top of my head. As soon as we end this call, I'm going to be like, that is.
Well, I've got one for you. I've got one for you. What? Because you're a big reader, and I'm a big reader. Tell me what your favourite book is, and what? No, tell me. No, don't tell me what your favourite book is. What is the book that made you decide, that paradigm shifted you into kind of changing the direction of your life? The one book. If you had to single it down, one book.
if I had to single it down for the biggest shift is Think and Grow Rich. That's the biggest shift. But everyone mentions Think and Grow Rich. You know,
Can you
it's
tell
that book that
everyone
everyone
what
mentions.
Think and Grow? Can you tell everyone what? Can you tell everyone what Think and Grow Rich is about? Because Think and Grow Rich is a book what people would completely intentionally ignore just because it involves the word rich.
Yeah,
Because for some reason people have this thing about money I don't get. But why is that such a big book that everyone talks about?
because it's about the mind. It's about being rich in your mind, which I know probably sounds airy fairy when you're first listening, when you first hear the book Think and Go Rich, and I'm talking about being rich in your head. Probably think I'm delusional, but it's about your mindset. It's about ideas being the key, and there's a secret in that book, and it talks about the secret all the way through. And you know, the secret for me, and I don't know whether I should say the secret. I don't know if I'm going to give it away or if, I don't want to spoil it for anyone.
No,
but it's about ideas. And
yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying, Matt?
I think you should share what it is.
You think I should share it? Okay. Well, the secret for me is, if you can think it, you can do it, and that's generally, you have to come to that and you're under your own conclusions. I could sit here and tell you, well, if you've got your idea, you can do it. But you have to believe it. You have to believe that if you've got an idea in your head, you can achieve it. You can see it through to fruition and get it completed.
Definitely. Because money, the money that they talk about, or the riches, whatever, spiritual, whatever, in that book, is money, for example, it's a byproduct of the service you're providing one way or another. So it, like love, it finds you if you apply yourself to that area enough. And if you've got an idea and you follow it through and you believe it's going to happen and you keep working at it, eventually it's going to come your way, whether that's love or whether that's money, I don't know, whatever. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cheers. Well, that's awesome. That's all the questions I was going to ask you. I think you've got some for me, right?
Yeah, I've got 3 for you, if you're good to go.
Awesome. Yeah, man. Fire away.
Right. So, the first one, I'm going to talk to you about procrastination. I want to know about procrastination because it's a biggie for me. I find myself procrastinating a lot, and I would love to know how you handle procrastination, what your thoughts on it are, essentially, and how you overcome it.
Okay, procrastination. So anyone who don't know what that means just not being able to make a decision. Procrastination is like one of the things that holds most of us back in whatever it is that we want to do. Don't matter what it is, whether it's work or, acting on something within a relationship, that something that might need to be said. And I think the main thing, if we're going to be really real, is it boils down to cowardice. Does procrastination ultimately, with it's us, me. If I'm procrastinating, I'm being a coward. But I also think that if you just act bravely, so you might not always have all the answers to what the outcome's going to be, but if you act bravely enough and with enough sort of faith in the outcome, and I think you might not know exactly how the outcome's going to go, but if you act with enough positive intent, things just fall into your favour. If you act with a positive enough intent, I'm not sure really how to articulate that any better, but
no, that's great.
Yeah, does that make sense? And I think
it makes lots of sense.
A way to handle short-term procrastination for me, what I do, because I'm a coward. I am a coward, and I've procrastinated big time over lots of things in the past, and I wanted to change that, intentionally change it. So one way short-term to overcome procrastination is just to have kind of daily things that you're going to do, or daily goals, as people, some cynical people might laugh at, but they're important. They work. If you have it written down what you need to do that day, and you just go crossing them off, whatever was the difficult thing you needed to do and you were procrastinating on, that's precisely what you need to do. So you write in your daily activities to do. And then the long-term way to get rid of procrastination is to sort of the internal way is to recondition ourselves, I think, like writing your long-term goals down, for example, because writing stuff down, I learned, burns a groove into your brain. It reconditions your own mind. So recondition yourself, basically, or brainwash yourself somehow. There's lots and lots of ways you can have a look at how to do that. And it's not always a bad thing either. But you have to brainwash yourself. That's important if you want to stop being a coward and stop procrastinating. So that's my answer.
No, I love it. Thank you.
Awesome.
I want to expand on it, just because not lately, it's been a problem for a while. The amount of opportunity. So you get working on an idea, and at the minute I'm working on drop shipping, Shopify, and something else will come up. And
like going into business.
You want to put time, like what? Sorry,
going into business with me.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
And something else will come up, so that takes some of your time. And I wondered, if that was a form of procrastination, and what your thoughts are on that. If the amount of opportunity and me looking at opportunities is just another way for me to.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I think you as a person, just like I was saying, if you act with enough positive intent, but I think if you choose one course, personally, I think if you choose one course and drill down on it, or double and quadruple down on that way, that's personally my opinion.
Yeah.
But and then once that's done. Because in the grand scheme of things, let's say it takes you 5 years to do something, set up a system, whatever. In the grand scheme of things, 5 years, when you're looking back in 25, 30 years' time, is nothing. Whereas, there's so much problem with the internet, there's so much opportunity and so much things to do and focus on.
Yeah.
We all kind of we're like a blooming cat chasing that laser pen around the living room floor.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's I think that's all of us. So perfect.
Thanks. Next question was similar to you. It was the piece of advice you would give yourself 5 years ago when you're just starting out on this journey, maybe with ACN. It doesn't have to be specifically 5 years, but the piece of advice you would give.
5 years, right? I wrote. There's two things I think I'd say. One thing is buy some Bitcoin. But that aside, I would definitely just tell myself, just nobody cares. And this might sound. I hope people understand what I'm saying when I say this. Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about you and your feelings. People only care about themselves and what's in it for them, and that's fine because that's human nature. We're all like that. All of us, me too. We all are. When I used to be playing in bands and things like that, I used to think, and I still do. I still play in bands now, but I used to think it were all about how cool I was, and how cool. Is this song good? Do I look good? Am I a good frontman, for example? And really, the people in the audience don't give one single chuff about how cool you are. They only care about them being entertained. And that's just one example. And when you realize that people only care about themselves, and when you're sort of providing a service, so for example, you, Joe, you're going to be doing a podcast, a weekly or monthly podcast, and you do an Instagram thing all the time. You're literally sharing stuff intentionally for them. It's not about you being the star. It's about adding value to them. And ultimately, that's what has made your business and your network grow massively because of that reason. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's about giving, basically, and not getting. Man, you get told that right from being born as well, and you just don't listen until the time's right for you. Yeah, definitely. So that's it. That's my answer to that, mate.
Perfect. Thank you. The last question I have for you is also about books, and it's the number one book you recommend to others and why you recommend it.
What's that? What book?
Yeah, the book you would recommend to others most,
Right.
and why?
Yeah, definitely. I would recommend The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey. Because what that book teaches us, and especially, this is just for me, I can only talk from my own personal experience, but for me, my environment and my world that I live in West Yorkshire, in my culture, in my era of living, there's a lot of bravado. There's a lot of like strength masquerading, weakness masquerading as strength in people. There's a lot of entitlement, not a lot of gratitude, and I think that book kind of covers all of that. It's about just being confident in you, becoming confident in who you are, because who you are is fine, and being humble and having enough humility and vulnerability to listen intently to someone else's opinion and not become offended. Um, the 7 habits. What are they? Be proactive. So that's basically what he's talking about. In that is, we can choose our own thoughts. We get to choose our own thoughts, and things like watching TV, and things like this. That it's easy to sit and watch TV because the thinking is getting done for you. So first we get to choose our own thoughts. Number two is begin with the end in mind. So set goals. Because if you haven't set any goals, for example, if you set sail from Southampton over to New York and you haven't put any coordinates in the stat nav, you might just wash up on Brazil somewhere. If life's going to push you around in any direction. So if you set a goal and you move towards it, it just makes sense to do that. Number three, third habit is put first things first. So prioritize what you need to do. For example, checking social media is definitely not a priority over getting the kids ready in the morning for school, for example. So don't be surprised when you're dragging your kids up the driveway, shouting at them because you're late by 5 minutes because you've spent 20 minutes on Facebook that morning. So that it's little things like that. Number four is it's think win-win. So number four is think win-win. So in every situation, there doesn't have to be a win-lose situation. Most of us, not people, us, me, think that there has to be a win and a lose, and it doesn't have to be like, for example, me and you are both winning from this. I don't care what anyone else thinks. I'm getting loads of value out of this. Me and you are both winning. It's a win-win thing. It's an effective thing to do. This is a big one. First, understand, and then be understood. So listen and empathize with other people, because everyone isn't like you. Everyone is like them, and it's important for us, and especially like if you're in a relationship. This took me absolutely ages to get. Trial and error, arguments, just ups and downs of a relationship, just going through that process of learning that you just understand them, and everything becomes easy. And it's all about being willing to become vulnerable, and not being vulnerable as in you don't mind if somebody says something that's not going with your way of thinking, because you're confident in who you are anyway, so you can help them and nurture what they're thinking and saying, if that makes any sense. So first understand,
brilliant point.
Understand, and then be understood. 6 is synergize, right? So what synergy is, it's where the sum of the part, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. For example, 4 individual batteries are not as strong as 4 batteries in a device at one go. 4 AA batteries, for example. That's an example of batteries synergizing. Another example is synergy is in a band. I'm a musician, I write songs, and when I get to work with other musicians, I've got a musician friend called Dave, and I've got one called Dean, and when we get together, and my dad as well, when we work together, we create better music than individually on our own. if that makes sense. So that's an example of synergy.
Yeah.
And you can apply that to business, and you can apply that to any kind of work, just in your relationships in general. And the last one is sharpen the saw. So take time for yourself. Just give yourself time, whether it's personal development, whether it's, I don't know, some people, I like to sometimes I meditate, I've learned how to do, going for runs, health, just take time for yourself. So sharpen the saw. So my book that I recommend everyone read, and it would definitely improve the entire world, is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. So there's your answer.
Perfect, thank you. Love that book.
Bit of a long one.
Love your answer.
Cheers, mate. So guys, Joe, do you wanna, have you got a plug? Because I know you've got you might as well tell everyone who I'm friends with on Facebook about your podcast, because I know you've got one coming.
Yeah, I've got a podcast coming. It's basically at the start going to be all my videos that I do every day on my podcast. Just so you can listen. I like listening to podcasts at the gym, just so you can listen to it. It makes it easier for you. But then I'm going to do a show similar to this. We'll get you on it, Matt. You're brilliant.
Oh, you. Cheers, mate. Yeah. No,
making you blush.
When are you? So when's that gonna? When are you looking to roll that out?
I ain't got a date yet, but I'm going to get it done as soon as possible. It's called Brain Food.
Awesome.
Great name, I know.
What about your books? What about your books as well? Tell everyone about your books.
My books, 2 of them are free. So you can get one free on Amazon and one free from my website. The third one is about £3 or £4 on Amazon. First one's personal development, just little hints and tips that I've picked up that hopefully will help you. The second one is success rituals, and that's habits. So daily habits and weekly habits that you can eventually implement into your life, and you don't have to think about it, but they make your life better. And the last one's about leadership and just leading by example, leading to serve. Hopefully you'll find a bit of useful ideas in there.
Perfect. Cheers, mate. Right, well, I'll cancel you out of this call, Joe. I look forward to having a coffee.
Cheers. Thank you, Matt.
I'll keep an eye on you on Instagram. Joe Hinchliffe, follow him, add him, and all that stuff. Cheers, mate. I'll catch you later.
Cheers. See you soon.
Right, guys, that's end of my video. Hope you're well. Like it, share it. If you start getting negative, you get deleted and blocked. You know the drill. I love you. I'll see you later.